Hello! Here is video number 2. And today what I wanted to talk about was your recovery team. And one of the things that we've done different at the Lotus Collaborative, and really this isn't being done in other places, is we've added a new member to your treatment team, which is a recovery coach. And I wanted to talk a little bit about what a recovery coach is. So you have your dietitian, and that's somebody who really helps you navigate the food education piece and the little nuances of stuff that happens with food. And then you have your therapist, and your therapist has had extensive training and kind of like patterns of human behavior. So they kind of get the nuances of different things that happen. So for example, one of the things we'll say is repetition compulsion. And what that means is basically, as human beings, we are drawn to similar things that we've experienced in the past. So maybe social dynamics, family dynamics, and we're drawn to similar situations or relationships so that we can go through that relationship and learn how to do it, but this time successfully. So if before you didn't learn how to have a voice and you surrounded yourself with very strong-willed people, then you're more likely to be drawn to people who are very strong-willed, and it's an opportunity for you to finally learn how to have a voice and be assertive and not be run over. So therapists are really good at being able to understand human patterns and behaviors and really help you get into the nitty-gritty and kind of the not so obvious things. And it's really important to have a good therapist. I always say if you're going to do eating disorder work as a therapist, no eating disorder work. It's so important that you really specialize in working with clients with eating disorders and not be a generalist who dabbles a little here and there, because it's super important to be able to know what's going on with somebody's eating disorder and guide them so that they don't experience personal failings because the recovery journey is tough, but really because they didn't have the adequate guidance. And it's so important that you have people who know what they're doing when working with eating disorders, because recovery is hard and it's a 2-step forward, 2-step back, 3-step forward kind of process. And you really want somebody who knows what they're doing, especially when it comes to therapy. I have on my website kind of characteristics of good therapists, and one of them I feel is you need to be with somebody that's relatable and knows a lot, but isn't so stodgy and expert that they make you feel uncomfortable and that they have to be the expert in the room. Like, it really should be a collaboration and a negotiation process. So that's a therapist, and they are trained and licensed professionals, and if they're not licensed, then they're being supervised by somebody who's licensed. And so that's your therapist on your team. A recovery coach is something that I came up with at the Lotus Collaborative, and it's a little bit, it's kind of out of the AA chemical dependency camp where you had a sponsor. And I really believe in the process of, you're doing recovery and then you get some recovery under your belt, and that is really important then to start sharing what you've learned with other people. And that's a little bit further along, and that's a recovery mentor. And you don't have to be a therapist, you don't have to be an expert on all eating disorders. You just have to have worked recovery on your own and kind of have a sense of what works and what doesn't work, and really be committed to the cause. And that process of mentoring others who aren't as far along really empowers you in your recovery process. And so I really believe in the power of the mentor. And so we've built that out, and I brought on Lauren Howard, who started Be the Light with a partner in Santa Barbara, and they have built out this whole mentor support network that you can do online, and you can really mentor somebody that really impacts your recovery and makes it go further. And they also offer the important mentor training, like, what do you do in crisis? Send somebody to their therapist and their treatment team. Like, don't attempt to be a therapist, because you're not, and you don't need to be. You just need to be somebody who's real and a real support and has some good ideas on how to do recovery. And then a little bit further along is a recovery coach. And what that is somebody who has really kind of worked through those initial years of learning how to recover from day to day and really has a good sense of recovery under their belt. And I'm not personally a fan, or I haven't historically been a fan of coaches or motivational coaches, because I've seen the line get blurred between being a therapist and being a coach. And I feel like coaches are important because they can help motivate you and help you rally, but they don't understand the different kind of psychological issues that are motivating behavior. And so I haven't been a fan of, like, I think people hire like personal coaches or instead of a therapist. And what I find is sometimes people being drawn into coaching, and this goes for therapy too, but being drawn into it because of their own issues and not being able to separate kind of what's their filter and their issues from kind of their client and what's really for their client's best interest. So it's really important you get somebody who is getting supervision and somebody who has done their own work and isn't trying to be a therapist. But a recovery coach is that really important person in your team that does the things that a therapist can't do. For example, as a therapist, you're kind of looking at the underlying issues and really inspiring behavior change. A coach is somebody that can go to the grocery store with you, who can go through your closet and get rid of your sick clothes, or really is hands-on, fill out disability paperwork. And it's something that we feel is really, really important. You have your therapist, but then having somebody who's there and really can walk side by side with you like a sponsor. And so it's really important that you have somebody that isn't kind of doing it from their own wounded place. And so I think it's really hard to be a treatment professional and working in a treatment center. And so it really calls upon each person to function at their highest level. And you have to work out your stuff as an individual, especially when you're working as a professional. And so a recovery coach is really important, and it's somebody that we found really helpful as part of the team, and it's also really hard to find somebody good. So somebody you want to make sure that doesn't get overly involved, doesn't do too much advice giving, really is a support for you, somebody who is working in collaboration with others and isn't kind of out there on their own. And I'm going to have actually Lauren Howard talk about how, she's really fulfilled this role and been she's gone from client to mentor to recovery coach and really gone the full spectrum. And she has a great perspective that I want her to speak to. But that's what a recovery coach is, and we have them part of our team, and we believe in the power of having a full team to be there to support you. So I am going to be going to Hawaii this coming week, so I bid you adieu and aloha, and I'll be blogging from the island of Hawaii because I've been moved. All right, aloha.